I want to begin this live with a verse from the Bible, actually. It's a verse from the Bible that says, and we're going to take it to 6:11. Ephesians verse 6, chapter 11. It says, put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. All right? Today's topic is a topic that I previously made a video about in reference to obsession is a form of spiritual possession. I made a video on that topic maybe about, it had to be like 4 years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the video was in my videos to be showed. Because obsession is a form of spiritual possession. And let me tell y'all something about that. It's one of these situations where when people become obsessed with you in any form or fashion, that obsession becomes a form of possession. But here's how it happens. It happens when we have large amounts of energy. When you have a large amount of energy, meaning that you possess a specific realm of light that you can bring to the world, that you could use to educate people, that you can use to motivate people, that you can use to inspire people. When others see that energy, they become antagonistic towards it. Okay? When we embark ourselves on a spiritual journey to enlightenment, we are always going to startle the energies of energy vampires. You're always going to startle them. Anytime you step into who you are, anytime you make a movement towards your own greatness, what you do, and it's unintentional. It's not like you're intentionally seeking to disrupt the darkness of others. You're not doing that. What you're actually doing is bringing forth light as a light being. Many of us come from back stories, childhoods, childhood traumas, life traumas through family, through relationships, so on and so forth. Many of us come from histories that were consumed in complete darkness. One of the things about demonic energy and demonic bondage is that demonic bondage, it happens primarily in environments of the oppressed. This is how demonic dark force energies come into your life, come into your existence, through oppressed environments. Because these are the weakest minds of society. And it's no disrespect. Because everyone has to have a starting place. I came from the bottom. Many of us came from the bottom. We came from environments where we were demonized by society. We demonized each other. We created concepts and philosophies and theories and rules and codes that were written in demons' blood. Okay? And so, coming from that, many of us don't realize that there has to become a particular time in your life where you have to elevate, or you should elevate, from demonic bondage. Instead, some of us haven't elevated from demonic bondage. Some of us partially elevated. Some of us never have the intentions to elevate from demonic bondage. So therefore, we consistently create more philosophies. We consistently create more theories, more perceptions, more illusions to justify the philosophy of demonic bondage. The demons of society mainly are those individuals, those concepts, that energy. Because a person is just not a demon. We are all vessels. We're all vessels. It's either we're going to partake in the energy of God, or we're going to partake in the energy of demonic forces. It's a psychological process, right? And let me explain this to you. Because many of us live our lives in psychic attacks. Many of us do. We live our lives on a day-to-day basis being psychically attacked, either if it's with your family, if it's with your loved ones, or your co-workers. But we are all consistently under psychic attack. And so when we are under psychic attack, there are ways and things that you can do. And it's not a ritual, y'all. It's not a ritual. You can't light a candle. And this is the honest truth. You can't light a candle to ward off a psychic attack. The only way that you can ward off a psychic attack is when that thought, that dark energy thought enters your mind. You have to fight it internally yourself. So no, there is no root work you can do to ward off psychic attack. It's a mental and spiritual act that has to be done. You have to fight it internally. And these energy vampires I'm speaking about, right? They will come into your life to disrupt it. And once they figure out that we can't enter her life, we can't enter his life the way we want to. So what the energy vampires do is they enter into the weakest vessels around you, which in many people's cases has been their family members, has been their loved ones, their co-workers, and people they are with in their social circle. The energy vampires enter their mind, but how does it happen? They enter your mind by telling stories. Because once they can't control you, they'll go off and seek other people that can control through controlling your emotion, emotional control. See? By using an emotional controller, they seek to control your emotions about other people. And that's how they control you. One thing in life you have to learn, and we all learn it here, but one thing in life we have to learn is that if somebody dislikes somebody, if somebody don't like somebody, if somebody's an adversary to somebody, we all have different experiences with people. There will be some people in your life, you're going to be the monster. And there's going to be some people in your life, you're going to be the angel. They're going to be energies that's going to be projected towards you based on people's perceptions of you. Here's a story I want to share with you guys. A close friend of mine, right? They have a few businesses and whatnot. And they realized that the people that were close to them was imitating them, emulating them. And it's like, she opened this business, that person went and opened the same business. She opened this business, that person went and opened another business just like hers. But see, here's the tricky thing about inspiration. You can be inspired by someone and you can motivate them to do greater things. And they may walk in similar paths as you. They may actually try to walk in your path. It's a form of motivation and inspiration. But when they try to partake in your energy field, they actually want to be you. The thing about the assembly line of God is that when God created people, he gave everybody a gift, the overall gift of life, of intelligence. And then he gave certain people specific, the universe, God, and we're going to use the word interchangeably here. The universe grants people certain gifts. Like, this is your gift, and this is your gift, and this is your gift. The key to uncovering the gift is finding it within yourself. Because your gift is not, oh, I know my gift is. You have to discover it. And many times in life, we have to discover our gifts through hardships, through experiences, through trauma. And one thing about trauma has the ability to activate your gift. Trauma has the ability to accelerate your gift. Because in most cases, some of our gifts are given to us by the Creator for us to be able to navigate through life with the usage of our power, our gift. Part of unraveling our gift internally is finding out who you are. Finding out who you are. Not hearing what somebody is or hearing who someone is, but uncovering it from within yourself. Many of us encounter energy vampires. Now let's talk about that. What is an energy vampire? An energy vampire is a being that's here on this physical earth that draws your emotions out of you to use it for manipulative means, to draw your emotions out of you to use it for nefarious means. They will play on your emotions. And that's how emotional control happens. You see? So when we go to clear our space, what are we clearing? Are we using incense? Are we using candles to clear our space? Or are we using intelligence to clear our space? Because we have to make the right choices. Yes, we all do. We have to make the right decisions. Yes, we all do. So in the act of clearing your energy space, you have to clear it of people. You have to banish people out of your life. You have to stop access, reject access to certain people in your life because those people carry the energies because they're obsessed and possessed with the energy. Now with me, personally, just briefly, I've had people around my circle, right, that truly wanted to be me, while I was inspiring them to search within themselves to find out who they really are. But we live in a society where everybody wears masks. See? When you decide to take your mask off, everybody looking at you like you're crazy, isn't it? Yeah, oh, he took the mask off. Because the mask is a programming that we have been programmed with to move with, to live with, to keep on at all times. Because we live in a false paradigm matrix where wearing the mask, pretending to be something that you're not, is more comfortable than being who you truly are. And so as a result, A lot of us got over comfortable wearing the mask. And so when a conversation of healing comes about, nobody want to take the mask off, because part of healing is removing the mask. You can never efficiently heal yourself until you remove the mask. You see? And we live in a paradigm where people think that they can remove your mask for you. See y'all, look. Videotape your whole life. Screenshot your whole life. And say, see y'all, look. But until somebody can step inside of you and see what's really there, their external projections are exactly what it is. An external projection. Because the only person that has the power to truly remove your mask that you've been programmed with, from specific environments we came from certain programmings that were passed down generationally, is you. You're the only person that has the power to remove that mask. Generational curses are a set of programmings that we were programmed with generationally. What does that mean? That means that your great-great-grandmother or great-great-grandfather, great-great-granduncle believed in a specific set of rules, believed in a specific set of principles that were only applicable to that time that they were living in, but yet they pass it down to the next generation, not understanding that every generation evolves on its own by formulating new principles that are greater than the principles that were previously taught to them. But some of us live in a mind state, and some of us live in a programming where we take the programmings from 1846 and we try to apply those programmings in 2022. The issue is that the mind state, the energy field of the creators of those principles was feeding off of the energy from that time. Things change. The universe evolves. The universe gravitates towards its own greatness. Healing is so real. Let me tell you how real healing is, right? Healing is so real, even God, the universe, has to heal itself. This is why things evolve. This is how God heals itself. I know many of us believe God is perfect. I know many of us believe that the universe is perfect. But the universe is not perfect. The universe is perfection in motion. So as it moves, as it expands, it creates and recreates itself. The same way within the science of healing that we have to create and recreate ourselves in order to be in alignment with our truest purpose. We have to consistently go through the channels of creation, recreation, creation, recreation. This is how God heals itself. If God was that perfect, the universe would not be expanding. There would not be the creation of more stars, the creation of more planets. Everything would just be at ease, still, because it's perfect. True perfection is elevation, constant change, transmuting energies. And this is what the creator and what the universe does. It consistently recreates itself Because even the Creator knows that it has to heal itself. It, he, she, they has to evolve. So evolving is a natural process. Everything grows. It has to grow to become a greater aspect of its own self. God is limitless. And because the Creator, the universe, God is limitless, that means that it has to keep creating itself over and over and over again into a better version. This is why God, throughout all of the religions, throughout all forms of spirituality, teaches that man has to advance himself. Man has to grow. We got to get better. In the same fashion and form that the Creator gets better at its own creation. You see? So when we look at all of the various energies and life forms that surround us, right? And many of us, we study alien, I'm big on alien technology and alien history, and I'm big on the fact that most religions only address life on this planet. They only address life on this planet. When it comes to talking about life in other universes, when it comes to talking about life in other galaxies, on other planets, most religions, 99.9% of them, don't have an answer. Because they base their religion off the experiences that they have on Earth, here. Yeah, in ancient times we had contact. And even in modern times today, we're having contact. Or seeing on radars through the military. Or SpaceX with Elon Musk. Or through various scientists. We understand and we see that there is more life than the life that's here. Most religions and forms of spirituality are only set to address the life forms that are here, but not out there, on other planets and other galaxies. Why? But why? Because we don't have the knowledge nor the experience of it ourselves. But you best believe that in other planets, other galaxies, God is present there too. The Creator is present there too. And they're going through a state of evolving also. You see? So when we talk about, now let's bring it back to energy vampires. Because they have a purpose. They must grow also. Because people become energy vampires through the environments that they're subjected to. Demonic bondage happens in oppressed communities. Like, for example, and I don't want to speak on this too long, but the situation that happened with Takeoff from the Migos, rest in peace. I love their music. And it's one of these things where when you have a gathering of energies, there are going to be energies that are going to be adjacent to you. There are energies that's going to be in alignment with you, and there are energies that's going to be adversarial towards you in every environment of gatherings. So when we step out into places, we have to develop the psychic gift, nurture the psychic gift to be able to read the energy in specific places, primarily soon as we get there. Why? Because there's energy vampires in all places. You know, one of the things the old people used to say, the devil in the church. Yeah. The devil, the dark force energy, it's in the church, but it's also in the spiritual community. It's also in New Age religion. It's also in African religion also. It's also in Buddhism. It's also in Hinduism. It's also in Taoism. That dark force energy is present everywhere. So there is technically no spiritual path, no spiritual religion that can actually save you. None. It's not in voodoo, it's not in hoodoo, it's not in the church, it's within you. That's why every religion, every spiritual system, when they were originally created, all of them said basically the same thing. In different ways, it explained God is within. That creator force is within. Look within, look within, look within. Every form or spiritual path taught to look within. Man, humans, who were guided by their lower vibrational selves, taught people to look without. Created these realities of the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth dimensions. These dimensions, see, you conjure the energy from these dimensions and then you bring them to you. We dwell in every dimension simultaneously. So technically, literally, we're not calling forces from other realms because we dwell in all of the realms all at once on different energy levels of vibration. You see? So when we talk about energy vampires, we talking about people who become the host to dark forces that seek to emotionally drain people, take away, subtract, conquer, divide people from recognizing their highest level of self. Me, myself, personally, I've been in that struggle in my life, where I was surrounded with groups, dark energy groups, low vibrational groups that seek to hold down. We got to pull him down to this level. We got to pull him down. We got to pull him down. We got to pull him down back to this level so we can deal with him on this level, because we cannot deal with him in the light. That only happens when you elevate. Now, elevation is one of those things where we elevate in stages. Yeah, true. And we have to learn how to shed our baggage. Yeah. But the devil is going to scheme. The dark energies is going to magnetically try to pull you back, because if that is the source of your origin, some way, somehow, you're still connected to it. So it becomes your interpersonal journey and struggle to be able to find out within yourself what part of the low vibrational energies that still exists in you. Because this is what's still attracting low vibrational energy vampires towards your life. It always happens. This is why people teach you have to change your level of vibration. You have to really change your level of vibration, man. You have to vibrate higher, vibrate higher. In order to vibrate higher, you have to first change the principles of your mind. Change the principles of your life. Change the principles of what you believe in order to vibrate higher. Life becomes that journey. So in the midst of trying to change our principles, we have to understand that at some point within our own selves, we are emotionally attached to low vibrational behaviors, low vibrational thinking, even have feelings for low vibrational people. And then we sit there and we hope, we pray, we hope, we encourage, we inspire them to change. And we think that we can bring them with us. I love you so much that I want you to change. so we can go on this journey together. But guess what? That's a major misconception. Because in this life, you can't take everybody with you on your spiritual journey. You cannot take everyone with you when you level up. You can't. And when you try to bring others with you to your next level, you're going to end up falling back down to the level you were trying to pick them up from, because their baggage that they do not want to face is too heavy for you to carry for them. You see? That's why we inspire others to let loose their own baggage. And once they let loose their own baggage, we can give them the information, the downloads, the vibration. We can let them feel, here, feel this vibration. Feel the vibration that's on this level. Here, feel it. And once you feel that vibration, you decide to do your own inner work, the shadow work. And once you do the shadow work, you realize that, hey, I can reach this level. But the only way you can reach it is by shadow work. That means facing the inner demons, not the energy vampires who are obsessed and possessed with dark energies. Facing them is not going to take you to the next level of God. It's not going to take you to the next level up at all. It's only set as an energy trap to bring you back down to the lowest level, because that's the only place they can fight you at. That's the only place they can battle with you at. On the lowest level. Can't battle in the highest levels. Too much light in the highest levels. You see? The Spirit of God, the Spirit of the universe, and I'm going to speak about conjure for a moment, because the things we call on to ourselves play a very intricate role in how we become and who we become and what we become. Many of us, and this is in all respects, many of us are calling on mythological figures that we have totally no knowledge of. Many of us are calling on entities and energies that we learned in books. You don't learn the universe like that. When we're dealing with spirit and spirit energy, when we're dealing with accessing higher levels of vibration, the only way we can access it is not through knowledge. No, it's through experience. Experience is how we access higher levels of information. For the most part, religion, in my opinion, religion was a tool to various spirits. In some of the righteous religions, the various spirits were only personifications of energies that reside within you, me, him, and her. So when we speak about certain energies, like for example, the energy of, let's say, I don't want to use none of them, but what I can say is that the energies of every religion is all personifications of aspects of energy that lives in you, because we dwell in all of the realms all at once. We ain't calling nothing from out there. We're not calling anything from the fifth and sixth dimension. No, we're not. We're calling energies from the dimensions that live within us. We are multi-dimensional beings. And so when we deal with energy vampires, those energies that seek to bring you down to the lowest level, it's because they're trapped in a bondage there. They're trapped. So they do weird things. Weird things. For example, when energy vampires want to pull you down to their level, they'll pay people. They'll pay your ex. They'll pay your next. They'll pay your family members. And every form of payment is not all cash. Some of it is. And others is energy. That's why we have to pay attention to what we pay attention to. Because every time you pay attention to something, you focus on it. When you focus, your eyes has a fluorescent lens in the back of it, right? And this fluorescent lens, it absorbs light from the outside environment. When you stare at something, you focus. When you stare at it and focus at it, what happens is your eyes is bringing in information. This is why the eyes, they say, is the window to the soul. Because every time you open your eye and you stare at something, you're allowing the access of that image. You're allowing the access of that person into your body. You see? That's why you can't stare at everything. That's why a lot of old people be like, don't watch the horror movie, don't watch the horror movie. Don't watch, don't watch some scary movies, because the images get into your mind and they get into your body. Because images are energy. It is energy. And when you stare at something, it gets into your body. It can disrupt the vibrational frequency that you've been working hard to maintain. You see? So when we sit in environments filled with energy vampires, what are they objective? What is the objectives of energy vampires? Who are they? They're unhealed people, yes. They have objectives, motives, yes. And their plan is to bring you and everybody else down to their level. That's why energy vampires will take something that they know is destructive. For example, I spoke about takeoff earlier. Environments. There are certain environments that when you start to vibrate on a higher level, you got to stay out of those environments. You have to remove yourself from the environment, because environments carry energy frequencies, just like people do, just like animals do, just like plants and trees. Let me tell you a story. I was somewhere, South Carolina, recently, and I had an issue. Some people who don't like me, or whatever that is, some people who don't like me, I felt the energy of the environment. I read the energy of the environment, and I said, hold up. There's some people in this environment, and I physically didn't see them. I didn't see these people at all. When I stepped into the environment, I just knew they were there. When I stepped into the environment, I read the energy signature of the environment. And I knew from reading the energy signature that this environment is not a safe place to be. So I left. And when leaving this environment, I got down to a park. It was nighttime. I said, well, medicine man, here's what you're going to do. Because the energy frequency of this environment is, you done read the whole environment, you already know what's in the minds of people. So what you're going to do, you're going to remove yourself from that environment and go down by this park. This is spirit speaking. Went down to the park, sat on the bench. Okay. Sat on this bench, and I observed these cars going by. Cars going, Cars going by, 1 car, 2 car, 3 car, 4 cars. Maybe it's traffic. Okay. Same cars, come right back. 1 car, 2 car, 3 car, 4 car, same car. Okay. Same cars going back. I need to back this way, that way, this way, that way, this way, that way. A spirit of the tree awakened itself. The spirit of the tree awakened itself and said, stand here. And I'm like, I'm not about to stand in the open leaning on a tree. I was leaning on the tree just like this, leaning on a tree. And I can hear the spirit of the earth speaking to me through the tree. Just stand here. They won't see you. They won't see you. Lo and behold, I'm seeing my man's and them got his head stick out the window. Looking like Ernie and Bert. They're sticking their head out the window. Back and forth. Boom. Come back this way. Boom. Come back this way. Boom. And I'm standing wide and open, leaning against the tree. And they couldn't see. Crossed the street, went to my destination. Stood up on a rooftop. Another story. Sit up on a rooftop and watched. Just sit there and watched. Of course, I got pictures, so doesn't matter. But sat on the rooftop and watched the same cars over and over and over again. Like they burnt like $100 worth of fuel. Just woo, 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 woo. So where I was on the park, the car pulled up on the park. To the same exact bench I was sitting on. But I wasn't there. I was on the roof of another whole building just watching. Like, interesting. Spirit began to speak. Go here, go here. The reason I say that is to say this. There are energy vampires in everybody's life. Yours, hers, his, and mine. Learn how to read your environments. Learn how to read people, places, situations, and things. Because in the past, many of us got ourselves caught into situations because we lived a specific frequency. Now, we want to get to the truth of it, of course. But one thing energy vampires don't do is they don't speak. They whisper. That's the number one tactic of an energy vampire. They whisper. When they see you, they smile. Dap you up, they'll smile in your face. They'll even communicate with you. And the whole time, they're plotting against you. You see? They'll even get your ex. Give them money. Give them stories. Implant their energy into people around you to do what? So that they can become a monitoring spirit. Now let's get into that. Monitoring spirits. What are monitoring spirits? Monitoring spirits are low vibrational beings that are easily possessed. Psychologically, they're easily possessed. Emotionally, they're easily possessed. Even sexually. By energy vampires. Yep. And so these energy vampires get into the people closest to you. Get into their bodies. Through stories. And possess them to become the monitoring spirit for them. Because monitoring spirits are real. People will use other people. Energy vampires will use other people to watch you. But had all the opportunity to talk to you when you was in their presence. They wait until you're outside of their presence And then you got a magnificent story. They wait until you're no longer around. They wait until they see you elevate just a little bit, not much. Because you don't really have to elevate to the 10th level. You just have to leave their level. And once you leave their level, oh, it's a problem. Let's get them. We all go through that in life. There are some community energies that you can't walk away from. You got to fight away from them, obviously. There are some communal energies because energy can be communal. That's why you have groups. That's why you have churches and different sets and groups, because these groups become communal energies. Within these communal energies is a communal mentality. You see, it's a communal programming. That programming is controlled by demonic bondage. So the demonic bondage of the oppressed, because the devil has very clear and open access to people who are oppressed emotionally, people who are oppressed mentally, and people who are oppressed economically. The devil has open access to them because oppression, the denial of your fundamental rights as a human being, such as economics, food, clothing, and shelter, would make you angry because you know you deserve better. We all do. So in certain communities where there is a denial of access to food, clothing, and shelter, better jobs, higher levels of education, in those communities, people are angry. They're upset with themselves. They're upset with the world. And being angry and upset, you become an open vessel to the dark forces of low vibrational energies. You become an open vessel. This is why happiness is propagated. Love is propagated. Because that becomes the natural barrier, that becomes the natural shield towards emotional oppression and demonic bondage. That is the psychic shield. There's no ritual, no prayer you can do to psychically block negative energies out of your life. You have to become happy. You have to activate the energy of love within yourself in order to create the psychic shield. You can light as many candles as you want to. You can light as many incense as you want to. But the truth is, until you create your own sense of inner happiness, you're always going to be an open vessel to demonic psychic attacks. And some demons are so crafty and clever that they spot your weakness and they play on your vulnerability. They play on gender, the gender wars, feminism versus masculinism. They play on all of these things. So I don't believe in gender. I don't believe in gender at all. I believe in energy. Because I understand that gender is just a physical representation of an energy. I don't want to judge the physical representation of the energy. I want to judge the energy. Is this an energy I am willing to accept into my life? Is this an energy that can help me grow? Well, if it's an energy to help me grow, I'm open to it. You see, regardless of the gender identification, good energy is good energy. Now, I've witnessed a whole massacre of disrespect that was handed out to a whole community of people because of a problem that somebody had with one person. That's weird. Weird as weird as a burgundy beard. No doubt. It's weird. You see? And I commend a lot of people for being strong in certain specific storms, because there were other people dragged in to a storm that was only made for one person. But everybody got dragged in. Everybody got emotions stirred up. Why? Because energy vampires don't communicate at all, never did communicate it, and never had an intention to communicate. I did. The person in question truly did. And communicated. Every issue in life that I personally, medicine man, ever had, I communicated my issue. I communicated my problem. I was always the type of person that if I got something on my mind, I'm going to say it to you. And ain't no doubt about it. Man, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? What's up with this? Like, we need an explanation. We need to break it down for you so you can comprehend and understand. But when you're dealing with low vibrational beings, they have the tendency of creating their own story instead of coming to the source of the story. And this is how many problems always happened. Because in low vibrational environments, you got low vibrational thinking. And so when you go to approach something in a low vibrational environment, the communal mentality is the mentality of every individual. Shh, don't say that. Shh, shh, shh. And then when you confront, hey, yo, or bring it up, like, yo, they got theories already. They got philosophies already. And when you ask or you tell what's really happening, what's really going on, what you talking about? Pretend you don't know. Pretending is a quality of an energy vampire. Pretending is a quality of a dark, demonic, low vibrational force. Pretending. People will pretend they don't know. People will pretend they don't know what you're talking about. People will pretend as to who they are. And so because they have to pretend, you know what they got to do? Because they have to pretend, they need vessels to speak through. They need you. They need me. But I got the block up, all the way up. But they need people like you. Because they need to possess you. They need to find people who don't know their energy to possess them to be spokespersons, to recruit. So what they do is when they come to attack you, when these energy vampires come to attack, they're going to speak through people vulnerabilities. You see? They speak through your vulnerability, knowing good and well they never addressed anything anyway, ever. But when the perfect chance comes about to speak through someone, oh, they will. They'll speak directly through you, possess your mind, possess your soul, play on your vulnerabilities, and execute and project their insecurities through you. But pay very close attention that energy vampires project what they are. So everything an energy vampires say is who they are. Because who I am, I was reading this thing. Who I am? I was reading this thing about the alpha male and the sigma. I got very interested in the sigma male. And the reason I'm very interested in the sigma male because it says that the sigma male is the lone wolf. The sigma male is often very intelligent, doesn't seek social status, doesn't seek social validation, or any of that stuff. The sigma male just is. Alpha males seek validation from other alpha males and seek validations from the group. Medicine Man is absolutely not a group person because I understand that group mentality is controlled by a hierarchy of rules that were written by people who never had the intentions of following those rules themselves. It's a direct imitation of the government. So therefore, Medicine Man views those things as the energy of agents. That's agent energy. It is agent energy when we duplicate in our society, in our communities, in our groups, when we duplicate the energy of the said people we accuse of oppressing us. You see? So if you're saying that the European colonialists created rules that they never followed, and then you turn around and you create rules that you don't follow, what does that make? You, an imitator of an oppressor. This is what has happened to a lot of our communities. This is what's happening to us as a group of people. This is what's happening to humanity, especially with so-called street mentality. I can speak on it because I came from it. The mentality of the street is the same mentality of the government. That's why a lot of what we see is nothing but a direct reflection of government agencies. The government wrote the whole United States Constitution. They say slavery gonna be abolished, but yet we still have to re-register for our rights to vote, right? True. Okay. Slavery was abolished, but we still got to register the vote. We still got to re-register the vote because our citizenship, even on the Constitution, is absolutely not even complete. But we don't know that because many of us don't study the law. A lot of the laws that say that technically we should still be slaves are still in effect. 13th Amendment says nobody can be subjected to slavery unless you are duly incarcerated for a crime. So once you go to jail or prison, you're technically a slave. That's why in prison, they got this thing called PI in South Carolina prisons. They got this thing called PI. It's called Prison Industries. General Motors, Barnes and Noble, and what else? It's Allison Transmission. Allison Transmission, General Motors, and Barnes and Nobles. They have agreements, contracts with the South Carolina Department of Corrections. And this is what they do. They have inmates in this huge warehouse on the prison property. They say, hey man, we're going to give y'all a job. Who want a job? Who want to work? Because, working in prison, especially for people who don't have their family members and loved ones to send them money, they can go work. Okay, yeah, I want to work. Sign me up to work. Okay. But mind you, you got to be a model inmate. You got to be a good guy, to get jobs working in the plant. Okay, cool. You go to get a job working in the plant. They say, yeah, man, we're going to pay you 50 cents an hour. Man, that ain't right. How you going to pay the inmates 50 cents an hour. Then they're working 13-hour shifts. I thought according to the law that was illegal. I thought minimum wage was $9.75. You know what they say? You know what they'll tell you? No, not in prison. In prison, you're going to work for 50 cents an hour. And we are going to get the $9.25 and reinvest that money back into the prison system to build more prisons. And this is how they get inmates to work for corporations for pennies on the dollar. You see? So there are inmates right now in prison systems. I don't know about other states. I only can speak about South Carolina. But there are prison systems with inmates in them that do build transmissions for the cars you drive, for the buses you ride, because the Allison transmission is in all the school buses. You got children riding in school buses going to school with transmissions built in prisons by some of their fathers. And they don't even have a clue. Because you're not taught that level of knowledge. And a lot of that knowledge is not to be placed out there. The only way you're really going to see it, the only way you're going to know it is if you've been here. And you find out this is what they do. Unfortunately, many of us, we trying to emulate and imitate what they got going on. So we create these false systems within our own communities to get people to work for pennies on the dollar, to get people to do things, to get people to believe that they are making it when they're not. You tell somebody, man, stop selling drugs, you might get killed out there. Because they believe it is a true industry. It is an underground industry. You know, we got the above ground and we got the underground. But you got people out there 50 years old, man, still standing on street corners. You know why? Because they didn't utilize the resources that God gave us, which is everybody has a gift of intelligence. But you have to hone that gift. You have to cultivate that gift of intelligence. You have to take what you got in you and say, how can I restructure my life? And then you have to do it. But you can't emulate what the true oppressor is doing up here to control society and turn around and say, well, we're going to imitate this system on our own people. This is where things like the check-in culture comes from. They're trying to create some new stuff, see? This is what the demonic dark energy forces do. They create systems of government for the oppressed people. The emotionally, the mentally, and financially oppressed people. They create that system. And you got to check in. Taxation. That's what it is. It's taxation. It's you a millionaire, you come here to this city, then you have to check in, meaning you have to pay us for protection. You see, taxation. The same thing Julius Caesar did. The same thing Alexander the Great did. The same thing the Pharaoh in Egypt did. Tax people and go door to door knocking. God told you what he did to them. He showed you what he did to them now. They go door to door knocking, telling, hey, you got to give it up. You got to give up these 2 shekels of silver, 2 shekels of gold. You have to give it up because the emperor taxes everyone. And we have adopted that same mentality towards one another. You got to go check in now, you know. Glad I don't rap no more. Too old for it. But you got to check in. This check-in culture is a design of the devil. It's a design of the devil. Demonic forces. But yet, many of us, we applaud the energy vampires of our own community. We applaud it. And we continue to applaud it. We continue to listen to their philosophies, which they call the code of the streets, or whatever that is. We continue to honor it and implement those principles in our life. And wonder why we ain't getting no real spiritual growth. You might got a following. You might got a good job. You might have a beautiful family. But all in all, spiritually stuck. Why? Because we are building our community off of an hallucination of wanting to be the oppressor. And this is why I say there is inspiration in imitation, but there's also hate in imitation. Because the people that hate you the most, they'll try to be you. They'll try to be you. Let me show you something. Cards, playing cards. Okay, we read playing cards. Many people read playing cards. Okay. You got people. I just dropped one. Let me see what that is. No doubt. The ace is an ancestral card, according to how I read it. It's when the ancestors speak. When you pull an ace, it's when the ancestors speak. Okay? The dark ancestor speaks in this particular card. And then let me pull another one, the 7 of hearts, which is divine love and inspiration, divinity, the elevation and growth of self. But let me tell you, we imitate our own oppressors. And because we imitate our own oppressors, we never take the time, we never develop the energy to discover who we really are because we're too busy imitating them. You see? So there's inspiration in imitation. Because of someone, like my friend, she just texted me. Like, she has some businesses going on. And she inspires me because I like her level of motivation and her courage even when she's down. I love her courage. Love the inspiration. I love it because it's motivating. When you see somebody else who every time they get knocked down, bam, they jump right back up. Boom, I'm going to do it again. Knock back down, bam, they jump back up and they do it again. That's motivating because you understand that person has something within them that won't make them stop. They're going to keep going and keep growing and keep glowing. And that's inspirational. But there's another form of inspiration out here. Hate, envy is a form of inspiration. Because people will also see something in you that they wish they had in themselves. It can get rough out there. Get real rough. Because they can see something in you that they want to uncover within themselves, but instead of them doing the inner work to uncover it, they turn around and want to take what you got. But see, the problem with that is that on the assembly line of God, when God created everybody, when the universe brought you to existence physically, he gave you that specific energy. The misconception, the illusion, is that you can take somebody else's energy. Open yourself up and put it in you, and you can become that person through imitation. Now they won't do readings. Okay, you do readings. These are tools. Do you need these tools? No, you don't. Because true psychic ability, true empathic ability, you don't need nothing but your connection to your spirit to implement it, to activate it, and to use it. Nothing about it. So I often get a little giggle when I see tarot readers doing their little lives. And there are a lot of, and playing card readers doing their lives. And there are a lot of people who understand that principle that do these readings. They understand the principle that these are tools, just guides to help them tap into their intuition. But there are another group, a set of individuals that they're nosy, they gossip, and then they do these readings based on what they've been on the phone talking about all day. You know what I mean? And so, it's just like you go get a reading from somebody, and I encourage people, if you want to get a spiritual reading, it has to be of significance to your life. There's some great people out here that can psychically see into your life for you, only because you, as the individual, have not opened yourself up to be able to psychically see into your own life. And this is what true readers do. We help the people who can't see into their own life because they've created blockages and obstacles and things of that nature for themselves. So we tap into our spirit and channel energy over into you guys to open up the channels within you so we can read your energy signature, which all contains the energy of your destiny, the energy of your present time, the energy of your past, and your ancestral bloodline energy. But eventually, a true reader will inspire you to be able to tap into your own inner power of God, of the universe that's in you, so you can be able to see. Because the reader's not always going to be there for you. You got to pick up the phone and call him. He might be busy. He might be with his wife. Might be with his family. He might just be busy. And you need to see a particular issue in your life, and they're not available. But the one who is truly available at all times is you. You're always available for yourself. So as energy beings, we all should work on developing our own intuitive gifts so we can be able to see into our own lives. Just like the situation when I was leaning on a tree and the spirit spoke to me through the tree. I said, no, don't move, stand right here. Could have been a life or death situation. Stood right there and watched the whole scene. Why? Because the spirit that's in that tree is the spirit of God. And the spirit of God spoke and said, this particular thing, you do this, you do that. And this is how you separate yourself from the energy vampires in your life. So when we go to clear and banish the energy of energy vampires, it starts within. You have to create the inner disconnect. Once we start cutting from within, cutting our attachments, our emotional ties to people that possess bad energy. If you need to block them on social media, block them. Some of them, let them stay. Let them witness your greatness. Yes, let them do that. Some go imitate. Let them imitate. Maybe that's the only way that they can see for themselves. But one thing you should never do is allow people into your energy space that want to be you. They can learn how to read cards. They can learn how to meditate. They can learn how to pray from you. But the moment they try to be you, get rid of them. Cut them off. Banish these people out of your life. Because there's only one way that they can be you. Is that they get into your body. So don't allow foreign energies. Just like your white blood cells. If you drink or eat something that your body don't agree with, the first thing they do is send out the white blood cells to fight it off because they're going to treat it like a disease. Your body's going to treat it. You drink some bleach, a cup of bleach, your body's going to treat it like it's a disease. It's a foreign object. They all going to come together in your body and say, hold up. Who is this? What is this coming down your esophagus? What is this in your stomach? What is this in your intestines? And they're going to fight it off. And the act of fighting it off is when your body has an infection. Because that's the process of it all happens when the battle happens within your body. The same thing happens with information, and the same thing happens with spiritual energy. Because you have to remember, everything in this 3D, meaning physical reality, where you have objects, is still energy. The 3D reality is the most densest form of energy, and which scientists call matter. We live in the physical world of matter. This is why we say everything matters. Black life matters. All life matters. Because matter is the realm of energy to where we physically dwell. We emotionally dwell on other levels. We mentally and psychologically dwell in other levels, in other realms. That's why we're multidimensional. So in closing, don't let the energy vampires of your environments, don't let the energy vampires within your life come in to disrupt your energy, your growth, your healing process, ever. Learn how to detach yourself emotionally from the energy vampires you fell in love with. Learn to detach yourselves emotionally, mentally, and physically from the energy vampires you were raised with. Learn to detach yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally from the energy vampires that are of your biological bloodline. Why? Because your spiritual journey is a journey that's specifically for you. And therefore, there is no one you can take with you on your ascension. Y'all have a blessed day. Peace, and this is Matt.